Hi, I'm Dave Henning, and you're listening to the Fresh Start Podcast, fresh ideas for business and personal growth. And today I've got with me Scott Aaron, creator of the LinkedIn Leads Generation, best-selling author, podcaster, and so much more. Scott, I was just looking back, and you were last with me in 2020 on the podcast. And so everybody knows you are actually my personal LinkedIn coach all these years. So appreciate that. So welcome.
Well, grateful to be back here, almost 4 years later and looking forward to diving in.
So tell us what's going on between then and now, and how can we help you? What's going on?
Yeah, so I'm still doing my LinkedIn stuff. I'm doing more consulting and speaking these days. I still have my course. I actually created a LinkedIn membership for people looking to get started called the LinkedIn Growth Hub. Basically just teaching people the fundamentals and foundations of what they need to do. There's a monthly masterclass, private community. But the big focus is, my wife and I have our own mastermind called the Expert Authority Mastermind, which, helps service professionals and business owners really, grow a small and mighty business where you're working smarter and not harder.
Yeah, exactly. So you're doing the membership thing, which is very valuable, so people can plug in. And so, are you? Having said that, are you targeting, for example, small business owners who typically are attempting to do all their online marketing, but they're busy running their business, so they may or may not want to do that?
I mean, there's really not one specific target market. I have different people from all different types of business backgrounds. Some are brick and mortar, some are solopreneurs, some are in sales, marketing professionals, digital course creators, real estate professionals, financial services. It's really one of those things that LinkedIn is such a foundational thing that, when it's taught the right way, it's applicable for any business as long as you know who you're serving.
Exactly. Tell me more about the coaching program, and what does that look like?
So, I honestly, I don't promote my coaching much at all anymore. It's almost, I would say, by referral and qualified candidate only at this point.
Right.
I think I only worked with about 3 people one-on-one this year, intentionally, because my wife and I focus a lot on our group program, but also teaching people how to leverage their time and their money. But if someone is willing to make the investment in me and what I teach, then I'm happy to work with them. And it's a 7.5-month long engagement. There's 3 phases. There's the implementation phase, which is 6 weeks, where I work with people one-on-one, 30 minutes once a week on a recorded Zoom, where I build out everything for and with them, from their marketing strategy, their content strategy, their brand visibility, their messaging, the growth of their network in the right way, and helping them optimize their LinkedIn profile. And then the second phase is the accountability portion, where after we're done the implementation phase, I meet on a reoccurring once-a-month basis for 6 months, where we touch base, check in, see how things are going, answer any additional questions that they have. I teach them anything new that's been updated in the last 4 weeks since we last spoke. So that whole accountability and implementation phase is around 7.5 months. In between all of that, people have access to me via email or LinkedIn Messenger. And then after the 7.5 months, they have continuing reach out via LinkedIn Messenger or email with any ongoing questions that they have.
Excellent. And what I hear you saying is that you don't need to target everybody in the entire world. I had somebody ask me when we were connecting to potentially I was going to do their interview, and they want to know how many followers I had. And I said, well, that's kind of irrelevant because I could have 10,000, 20,000 followers, but do I want to connect with that many people if it's not targeted? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Again, I think people get kind of sucked into the vanity metrics of things. And
Yeah,
the big belief I have is it's quality over quantity. So you
yeah,
you may be seeing people on LinkedIn that have hundreds of thousands of followers, but again, you don't know how profitable a business that they're running, because that is you're seeing the vanity image of things. And again, people may say the same thing about me. They see me with almost 30,000 followers on LinkedIn, but that's been 11 years in the making. I
yeah.
started in 2013, and it's almost 2024 now. So that's not overnight. That's consistent
Right,
growth over a decade long period.
right, exactly. And speaking of which, how did you start out 11 years ago? Where were you coming from?
Well, I was running a brick and mortar business. I had 3 health clubs in downtown Philadelphia. I had sold 2, and I had the last remaining one that I was, obviously growing. I ended up closing it in 2016, but 2013 I was looking to expand to I would say, higher caliber target market. I was doing, one-on-one personal training and sports nutrition, but I wanted to do more online training where I didn't physically have to be there, and I could kind of be better use of my time. So I wanted to start targeting business professionals that not only had the monetary means to make the investment, but saw the value in what I was bringing to the marketplace. So I started leveraging LinkedIn from the aspect of me growing my online wellness practice. It grew very, very rapidly and quickly using LinkedIn by just providing value added content, targeting the right people, having genuine conversation. And then I had other people within the wellness profession asking me, "What were you doing? How are you doing it? Can you teach me? I'll pay you." And that was kind of how the whole coaching aspect came about, that people were then willing, after I had the social proof and I was getting results, they wanted to learn how to do it the same way. And time is the most valuable commodity we have, and they were willing to pay for it.
It reminds me of when I was still living in California. I lived right down the street when Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and originally LinkedIn was like down this little dead end street in one little building near the Googleplex, and and then they built these humongous buildings over in
The disco.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so all that to say, they where have you seen? Speaking of which, obviously, tons of changes taking place almost constantly,
Yeah.
and LinkedIn has been almost accused of being just another Facebook. What are your thoughts on the changes that have taken place, and what it looks like now here in whatever year this is, 2023?
Yeah, all positive. Again, no matter what social media platform you're on, you're going to have spammers. You're going to have people that are trying to beat the system and beat the algorithm. Uh, but LinkedIn, I do feel, is still in a league of its own.
Yeah.
It still remains the only social media platform where every Fortune 500 company in the world has a presence on there, and that's still to this day true. But it's a global networking event every single time you log on. There is not one social media platform out there that can outproduce the amount of genuine leads and connections that you can have on LinkedIn versus anything else. It's still far and away, if you're looking for the place where you want to build out your personal and business brand and you're looking to generate leads and business allies, LinkedIn's going to be your number one stop. It should, if you're a business professional and your clients are business professionals, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be on the other platforms. I am on TikTok, I am on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, but everything leads back to LinkedIn. That is the journey that you want to take people on.
If you want to connect with business owners, that's where you'll find them.
Yep. 100%.
As you were saying, LinkedIn is the number one place for anybody that's in business. I remember basically it was like I was asked years and years ago, well, why are you on LinkedIn? Well, I don't know. It's kind of like you need a little billboard, kind of a your resume, and that was kind of the extent of it way back when, wasn't it? Kind of.
Well, before Microsoft bought them out, it was a place for people to find a job, a job seeker or recruiters. And, the beautiful thing is when Microsoft bought them out, They saw it more as, okay, let's segment the different aspects to LinkedIn. So let's still have, recruiter, let's still have navigator, let's have premium, but let's make this a search engine. And that's what people fail to recognize. LinkedIn is just like Google. It's just like Yahoo. It's just like Bing. It is a giant search engine. That's why there's a search bar. So yes, you can still get recruited. Yes, you can still find a job, but it's so much more than that. It's a giant search engine, and it's also connected to the main search engines out there. So if you're providing good content, you got a LinkedIn newsletter, you're providing articles, they're searchable on Google. They're searchable on Yahoo. If you were to Google my name, one of the first search results you would find would be my LinkedIn profile. So you want to talk about ultimate visibility? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
And in fact, when I write a post or something, I can automatically post directly onto Twitter, just straight from LinkedIn. So
yep.
There's that. How do you feel about the two things, the LinkedIn ads program? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've never participated in the ads program, but all the research tells you that advertising is important, but the metrics, the KPIs, the CTR, which is the click-through rate, the cost per lead, you have to be a very large conglomerate to really be maximizing LinkedIn ads. You need a starting marketing budget somewhere between $4,000 to $6,000 a month. You have to have your toes in the water for at least 6 months. So you're looking at about a $25,000 investment just to get some data. And that's not meaning you're not going to get conversions. That's just to get data. So I really feel that if people squeezed the right kind of juice out of the free version or even the premium version of LinkedIn, you're going to find that you may not need to do any advertising on LinkedIn because you're getting more organic eyeballs on your stuff anyway, because that's part of how LinkedIn works. LinkedIn wants the right people seeing the right type of content. And if you're the one producing it, you're going to have the right types of people connecting back with you.
Yeah, organic, wouldn't you agree? Organic beats paid every day of the week.
I mean, there's a certain time in everyone's business where you may have to pay to play. But as I mentioned, nothing beats organic, creating that human connection between you and other people. And I'll go back to something that I stated earlier. It's quality over quantity. It's not about the masses. It's about the few people that lead you to the few people that lead you to the few people, and so on and so on.
What's that 6 degrees of separation that they talk about?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. I like to ask this question because I have this whole list of, somebody gave me a list of about 10 questions that are kind of unusual, different. And so I'll just throw this one in just
sure.
for fun. So if you could talk with anybody today, and let me preface this real quick.
Dead or alive?
There you go. That question. You know that question. Did you give me those questions?
No, I've heard it before. It's a good question.
I preface this by saying that I've gone to dozens of things where I'd had to fly across the country to go to hear some speaker, and I've heard all the main speakers going way back for years. And but nowadays, what they do is they have you they stay in one city, and they have, instead of them traveling all over the place to speak, they just have you come to Vegas or Florida or wherever. So the question, as you already know it, is if you could speak to anybody that was an influencer to you, that was an encourager to you, that just stands out in your mind, living or dead, who might that be?
Well, I mean, there's some names that come to mind. Not a lot of people say Steve Jobs. I mean, again, he did incredible things, but for me, being able to not only talk to someone that is relevant, meaning they're still in the game right now.
Yeah,
I was always intrigued, and I wouldn't say this person inspired me, but I've been always intrigued by their story, and that's Jeff Bezos, because if you just go back to the very beginning of his journey and the fact that, and people that don't know anything about him, don't know anything about Amazon, they started as an online bookstore only. That's it. And then moving to an online marketplace where he spent the better part of 5 to 7 years in the negative, just losing money just because he wanted to make sure that everyone's products got there in the most timely manner possible with all the shipping and, everything that he was doing, just having that kind of footprint on not just the online space that a lot of people are in, but the world. I mean, he changed so much for so many people that a lot of the things that exist today wouldn't have been even possible if it wasn't for the chances that he took way back when in the early 90s. And, just seeing his progression, seeing the things that he's created and how many lives have been impacted by risks that he was willing to take. It's very inspirational.
I still have the picture of him sitting at his card table, basically in
the
one
garage.
chair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When going way back. And people, it's kind of like the old saying, he was an overnight success after 30 years.
You see the story, but you see the glory, but you don't know the story. That's how the saying goes.
Yeah. He took the risk. And another thing, this is another thing I like to point out is that obviously corporations always take a lot of hits and all that kind of stuff. But corporations are actually employing a lot of thousands and thousands of people. They're putting food on the table as well. So you got to balance it out with what's, does that make sense? What's real? Does that?
Lives are changed, not just from the opportunities and the big thinking that he did that inspired other entrepreneurs. But to your point, the corporation as a whole, the fact that people can be Amazon affiliates, the fact that people can have their own Amazon delivery fleets now, where you can have your own business underneath their umbrella. There's so much opportunity, I would say, is one of the greatest rewards that you can give people, because it leads to so much more, and giving people that chance, that opportunity, the belief that, anything is possible for them. Again, when one person wins and you can have other wins for other people, that's a great feeling to have, knowing that your business has created all of that for so many people.
And under the current CEO, they've really expanded in so many directions, and they're the masters of the upsell, if you want to put it that way. They do so many things. But thank you for sharing that, because that's a great example, exactly, of what
evolution at its finest.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question here. What question have I not asked you yet that I really should probably ask you about?
Oh, wow. People always ask me, what was kind of like the pivotal moment, or how did you become an entrepreneur? And it wasn't the traditional route. It was kind of like a culmination of things. I had just failed out of college after my freshman year. My father, who was an entrepreneur himself, was disengaging from a company that was under investigation by the FBI for tax fraud. And he was then working for a chiropractic firm that could no longer employ him because he was being criminally investigated. So he was then offered the opportunity to purchase a failing fitness club, which was always his passion, still is. He still lifts and competes to this day. But unbeknownst to me, the time period when I was 19 years old, failing out of college, and then unfortunately, my father having to serve 2.5 years in federal prison, the keys to that business were turned over to me, when I didn't know the first thing about running a business, managing people, growing a business, operations, any of that. And one of the best lessons that I learned about being an entrepreneur is that you have to learn on the fly at some point in your life. And, you know, I didn't see that aspect of my journey as a negative one. I didn't see it as a deterrent. I didn't see it as, you know, why was this hand dealt to me? Thought never crossed my mind. You know, the thought that did cross my mind is, how can I make my family proud? You know, how can I do them good by taking over this gym and helping out my mom, helping out my sister, and supporting my dad when he's away. And again, that was the most transcendent moment in my life, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today with my wife, living the life that we're living, if it wasn't for that one experience.
That is a powerful, powerful story. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Let me do this. How can people connect with you? If you got a website, I can just put a quick banner in here real quick here.
If anyone wants to connect on my personal website, it's www.scottaaron.net. You'll find out about all my LinkedIn offerings, everything I have going on. If you want to go to our company website that my wife and I run together, that is thetimetogrowcom. And that's where you can find about all of our courses, our programs, the workshops that we have coming up. We typically run about 7 to 9 free workshops each year. We have 2 left. We have one coming up next week for LinkedIn. And then we have one the first week in November that helps people get their business organized. So scottaaron.net for my personal, or the Time to Grow for our company website.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Any closing thoughts on this? scottaaron.net, the timetogrowcom is how they can connect with you right now. And we encourage you today to, you're willing to answer a message if somebody messages you or whatever, and just connect with people. You know, as you know, I like to talk to successful people and give them an opportunity for a free 15 minutes at any time, if it makes sense. So you're okay with connecting with people and just getting some questions answered, because we've really covered a lot of territory here, I believe.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you know, I do 2 free LinkedIn trainings per week, Mondays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on my LinkedIn personal page. All you have to do is go to my LinkedIn profile, which is, you know, just search me on LinkedIn, just hit my follow button and turn my LinkedIn bell on, and you'll be notified when I do go live. So I'm always doing free trainings just to kind of provide extra value to people of what they can do to better leverage the platform.
Excellent, Scott. I want to thank you so much for your time today and having you with me. Appreciate you, man.
Well,
Thanks,
David. Appreciate you too. And again, let's not make it another almost 3.5 years. Let's connect sooner.
Exactly. All right, hang in there. This is going to mute us here at the end, but thanks again for being here, Scott. Thanks.
Absolutely.